This week's episode of Lower Decks was a brave, bold and challenging science fiction adaptation of Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms. And I confess I didn't expect this show to go there, to take on such a dense literary source and try to Farewell to Farms. It was just a pun. It was a Farewell to Farms. Space. A continuous extension interval between planets, stars and other objects. These are the critiques of the critic McElvoy. His continuing mission to review strange new shows, to seek out new work and new bastardizations, to boldly note what no critic has noted before. Another week and another cataclysmic cultural event. No, I'm not talking about the re-election of Donald Trump as US President. I'm talking about episode 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks, the alleged Star Trek spin-off, the animated Star Trek encyclopedia, the show that dares to suggest it might belong in the Star Trek universe, but in fact has no business being there. It's an uninvited guest, isn't it? But one we have to tolerate. So, episode 4 was called A Farewell to Farms, and that was the cleverest thing about it, the pun. There were two things going on in this episode, as there usually is: A story, B story. The B story was a bit of lore expansion about the Bird Doctor's race. Who were they? What were they about? The show decided, look, we're in the business now of establishing our own mythology, right? We're trying to grow the lore. Now, who haven't we looked into? Oh, the Bird Doctor. The joke being he's a bird. Walks around shedding feathers and things like that. And he's a race called the Cloacians. Cloacans? They're birds, they're bird people. And in this episode, he had to host a delegation of his fellow Cloacians. And what's their cultural thing? Because obviously Lower Decks trying to flesh out it's the alien races as it's introduced to the show. Their thing is that they're food critics.
No, cut the fucking bullshit, will you? Just stand up straight and at least look like a fucking cook.
That's their single defining cultural characteristic. Lovely bit of species essentialism there. What are birds interested in doing? Eating. That's all. They're a warp-developed civilization, but that's their single cultural thing. And the plot was about the Doctor. I can't remember the character's name. Dr. Manubulu, trying to impress these two delegates who were very prissy. About everything, but very particular about what they eat. And they rejected all of the things that the Doctor made them and said it's all bland. And so he was due to be sort of under the rules of their one-note society to be excommunicated because because he can't cook. But it turned out that they were frauds. That in fact their palates had been anaesthetised by I don't know, for some reason, and so he was exonerated, and that was the B plot. So what you say was the A plot. The B plot you say sounds superficial and pointless. So the A story must have been quite meaty, right? There must have been a hell of a lot going on in the A story. No, it began uncharacteristically on a Klingon farm with two brothers, and one of them was a former captain who'd been disgraced, and the other one mocked him, etc., etc. And then Mariner turns up, and Boimler, for no reason, and Mariner apparently knows these people. She's got like a sort of Jadzia Dax-like relationship with these Klingons. And for most of the episode, we don't know why she's there, or why she has, any interest in helping this man go through a series of arcane Klingon rituals in order to regain his captaincy. Boimler, by the way, because the plot demands it, is suddenly an expert on ancient Klingon rites and procedures, hitherto unexplored on the show, but that's what the script called for. You need somebody to know about the ancient rite of So we spend most of the episode wondering what the point of all of this is. Does Mariner just show up, go and see old friends, and say, yeah, I'll help you out? Yeah, I'll do a thing for you. I'll do a sort of Sam Beckett-like thing and try to right what once went wrong. Beckett Mariner, celestial troubleshooter. But at the end, we discover that actually what it's about is that she just, was looking for someone to help her pilot a ship into Klingon space so they could investigate a dimensional rift that they'd discovered. Is that the procedure? If you find a thing that looks dangerous inside another Imperium's territory, why not contact their government and just say, look, here's the data. This looks bad. This looks serious. Can we investigate it? We're allies, right? So can we send a starship or shuttlecraft into this sector and we've shuttled it to Kronos. We've gone to your homeworld uninvited. Can't we go to this obscure sector and look at this thing that might have huge consequences for you in the Alpha Quadrant? Can we do that? Doesn't occur to anyone to do that, apparently. No, what they're relying on are the sort of relationships between low-ranking insubordinate officers and their friends. That's lower decks logic. So the point of all of this shit was just simply to reveal the 4 episodes in the season's arc like thing. It's a thing now, isn't it, in Lower Decks, that they produce a thing which, as they move toward the climax, will pay off. And it's some sort of dimensional rift. And that's going to be the thing that will be looked at and in the build-up to the final episode in 6 weeks' time. Now, when you say dimensional rifts, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, could it be that, maybe this whole universe, this whole Lower Deck universe is sort of a tangential Star Trek universe, where everyone's stupid, like the stupid version of the TNG universe. And in the final episode, it's all going to be exposed as being as such. We're going to learn that all of this nonsense and shit, all of this frivolous, boring, inconsequential rubbish will be actually just a bit of a sort of extra dimensional gag. And it will all be wiped out in the final episode. And Mariner and Boimler and all of those bastards will have to move into the live action universe, the real Star Trek universe, where they'll instantly be marked out as intellectually wanting, subnormal, incompetent, crude, and with a sort of degenerate vocabulary. And they'll be sent to a starbase for immediate retraining and, some sort of inoculation to cure emotional retardation. And that's how it will end, with them as serious officers on a real starship, doing real things. And the whole thing will have been just a sort of awful nightmare. Could that be how it ends? I hope so. Anomalous readings. So, nothing much to say here again, except one thing. What do the Star Trek writers of old, who did so much to build up Klingon mythology, like Ronald D. Moore, what must they think of this shit? What does Ronald D. Moore think if he's watching A Farewell to Farms? I did all of this. I created all of this stuff. So what? So Mariner and some Klingons could go as they walk through a painstick tunnel. It must be really disheartening, particularly because they're riffing off a relationship that was established in DS9 as well, between Jadzia Dax and the Klingons. Someone who had a whole lifetime with the Klingons, and this was just sort of a lazy version of that. Just disheartening, isn't it? Speech farts in this episode included stuff like, "Oh shit," and "What crawled up her boob window and died?" Crisp, classic Star Trek dialogue. Put it on a t-shirt. So, that's it. Another week. Another wasted 27 minutes of life. Can't get it back. And you can't get the time back you spent watching this either. So we all lose. Till next time, I'm Dr. McElvoy. It's not my real name. Sleep easy.